So I binge watched 9/11 just to see what is it what is it really all about? What is it about? Like this random act that George Bush had no clue about. Like he was so stunned and shocked when when the detonator was set off. And then where does it lead from there on, from that point on? What was the purpose of even doing it? Did the hijackers believe that if they suicide bombed themselves that they go to heaven? And then they get, what was the promise? 99 virgins or something like that? I wonder if they really believed that. Because if we're in a matrix system here, everything feels real, but we're really plugged in somewhere, not awake. This is our main dream sleep, right? Dream state right here. And then when you fall asleep, it's like a way of resting this body, and then you fall into your third realm of existence. But that's only movie scripts, where Neo was in the Matrix and he was really in a different universe. But it's more of a cover-up for everything. George Bush, when he first came into office, he basically was like a god when that happened, because then it was time for him to, it's like they like Rocky, they punched him in the face, knocked him down, and then he got up, and then he eventually wins the war on terror. Because remember that shock and awe? Look, I was all for it. I admit it. I was fooled once. I was fooled. I had this Dodge Stealth back then. Actually, I had 4 cars. I bought my kid's mom it's like an 87, 88 Jeep Grand Cherokee. She crashed that pretty quick. It was a 97 Dodge Ram, my work truck. It was hooked up, it was nice and clean and red and had all the bells and whistles on it, the chrome rails and the front grille thing that goes in the front. I was 26, 7, 8. What was I, 20, 25? Yeah. I was still a kid. It was right before my son was born, because my son was born February 4th, 2002, 2422. And so basically he was conceived, my kid's mom somehow got pregnant for the first time with me after we've been together for numerous amount of years. I can't really count. or she said she got pregnant before and said it was mine, but didn't tell me, and then just had an abortion. But, you know, people tell you whatever they want to tell you. So I was getting ready to kick her out. I was done with the relationship. It was just too much. I couldn't handle the mental torture. Told her to get out. And then a week later, she got pregnant. And this was during the summer-ish of 2001. So it was before 9/11. And then, but anyway, when 9/11 happened, I also bought a convertible Sebring. It was like a 2000 convertible Sebring. It was the most smoothest car I've ever had. It was pretty much brand new almost. But then I traded that in for the Mustang, the one that I still have since my kid was born. I picked him up from the hospital in it when it was money green. So I wrote on the back of the Dodge Stealth. It was a pretty damn cool stick shift. I think it was like a 99 silver. I had it painted. Put a nice little set of wheels on there. Not that cool, but oh. So I drew on the back of the window, because it's a big hatchback. I drew a big American flag, and I was gung-ho for you, George. I was gung-ho for you. You fooled me once. You damn sure fooled me once. And then I heard about the shock and all. I'm like, yeah, I'll get him, George. But you know what? When I was at work that day, and I heard about the buildings, I seen it on the news. I believe I've seen it somewhere, TV, but back then there was no YouTube. But I still had a cell phone. There still wasn't internet. Internet was created back then. It's kind of crazy to think YouTube didn't exist during the first 9/11, ain't it? And then now you get all the information of where the second one is planned. And it just seems like they're not going to do it now because it's quite obvious as to where it's going to be at. But nevertheless, you know, as from what I know about Satan, he's going to follow through with his plans regardless of what I do or say or anything. Because you have to see it. You have to see what I'm telling you is going to happen if it does that. How the shift of energy and the spirits, just the straight up Antichrist spirit gets cast out of so many people in an instant. Yes, it's going to be a scary time for most people, but not if you're the one that predicted it. But then I also have a sinking gut feeling that it's just going to be turned around on me and I'm the sole target. And because they canceled it, they can't follow through with it. Or whoever's in charge is just not going to push that button because they don't have that. They don't need to destroy stuff in order to make them feel better anymore. All I did was just tell you what they're showing me and where I think the next second coming is going to be, because Barack Obama said he's going to win the war on Christmas on his second term. Not his second 4-year term, his second term after 8 years. So George Bush, first beast. Barack Obama, second beast, rising up from the sea. The second coming, because he's looked at as the Antichrist, but he's telling you he's going to win the war on Christ with his second coming. When George Bush was in office, once the 9/11 happened, even the next day or two, down in ground zero, or even the same day, who knows, or when the smoke cleared, saying, putting his arm around the fire chief, saying something along the lines of, when we find the people who took these buildings down, as he's pointing up in the air with his finger up, admitting that it's him, saying that they're gonna hear him, and he basically just turned into a rock star, is what it came down to. And then it shows George Sr. after he does like a little speech inside some building somewhere or whatever. He goes and grabs his hand, like shakes his hand. He's sitting there like good job, attaboy, son. So the question is, George, Johnny Bush, is it Johnny Bush? And then if so, is your father like the Lord God or something? Like George Sr.? Because when he was done, he died, right? Or, I mean, whatever the story is. Because nobody really dies, they just get transferred. You either die in Satan and leave your first estate, or you die in the Lord. You die in, just natural, whatever, and then you go. Because I look at it like this: when I die, from whatever reason, then I'll find out exactly what it is where you go next, how it all works. I believe it's a simple procedure that's done by robots. They put your body in some kind of a, I mean, you're already laying there dead, so it's not like you're gonna move. You're lying there, your body's dead, it's not gonna work anymore. And then, if you agree to the secret mission, here's my theory. It's the 9/11 theory. If you're just a regular person and you don't believe in theories, the rest of what I'm going to say ain't for you. I'll probably be wasting your time. So just understand that. I know that there's different audiences that listen, and this is for the ones this is for you, George and family. This is for all the YouTube channels that I've come across that knows exactly what happened that day, because you were part of it. And some of you may have even left your first estate. And when you leave your first estate, you go from male, then you go missing, or you die, and then you get transferred over. It's just a transfer. It's a soul transfer from body to body. Because what else is going to happen when you die? How do you know? Do you think you're going to just drift off in the spirit world? Because I thought the same thing. I don't truly know, but I feel like it's more literal than anything else. And I feel like this world I live in now, there's a lot of us out there that it's not so much that it needs to be a secret. It's just the fact that Satan told you to shut your mouth about it. Don't ever say what it is. And it just has to do with what sex you are. How is your reproductive organs arranged in your body or outside of your body? Is it up? Is it down? Is it in? Is it out? Are you a male or are you a female? Were you born male? You turned female? Do you think you can tell? Were you sent to people, like God's angels, as a female? And you really can't actually tell. That's the crazy, amazing part about it. No matter how much you examine, it's like I don't know. You just look like a female to me, but you kind of have a face of a man a little bit, right? But you look like a female. Your body parts are. So my 9/11 theory is that people left their first estate. They talked about the Oklahoma City bombing, and they said how they found body parts and limbs and stuff. But with 9/11, it was you're either alive or you're missing. They either found you alive or they didn't find you at all. And the one guy made up this excuse that the reason why they can't find anybody really is because the bodies it's like it's like a blender. He said the bodies got blended in with metal, steel, glass, plastic, smoke, mirrors. You can't find the bodies because it was so blended in. It's like they put everything in a blender, and then that's why you couldn't find anybody. But my 9/11 theory is that the people that went missing were never found, even though they said that they found them through gang stalking tactics. Even though they found them through DNA samples, they said that they found them through they sent in the teeth or their brush. They got the hair samples off, or however else it is that they found them. Then it put some kind of closure to it. Now, did the families know the ones that left their first estate and decided to become female? And when you leave your first estate, it's a simple procedure, like that one lady Heidi was talking about, where her husband Jeff didn't even feel a thing, didn't even know what happened. You know, Miss Googly Eyes. Leaving your first estate is the body you were born with. And I don't know how you go about doing that. I don't know how they approach you. I guess I'll find out. Maybe some wise men will tell me. Maybe some wise men will come and offer some golden ratio measure, or some sweet perfume, or some vomiting fluid to preserve your body for later on. I'm good. I'm good. But others aren't, and they may say, Robin, you don't know what you're missing. What is wrong with you? You get to become a male and female together. You don't need any, you're complete, fully, it's like you're fully a male spirit, but then can you imagine you hop inside, like they put you asleep, right? Like Heidi, when she was saying, basically, when she was Jeff, he didn't even feel a thing. Nothing, didn't even know what was going on. Just all of a sudden you wake up and you're a female now. But not only that, you're a very, very attractive female. Almost like the kind that would only be in heaven, right? Because that's what you get transferred into, because why else would you go from male to female unless it's going to be a perfect body, what they promised you? So you're a male, and then you wake up and all of a sudden you're in a female's body. I'm sure there's movies out there like that, ain't there? I'm pretty sure. Or that one movie, that girl, but she woke up and then she was an older girl. Even with I think the same thing happened with Tom Hanks. That, I don't know, what was it called, The Giant or something. I have to rewatch these movies. So I believe the theory that I have, again, even if it sounds so ridiculous, the one thing I've learned to do is say, because I was talking to my brother about certain things, Yum, and talking about how, whatever. And it's like, well, if anything, at least it makes for a good sci-fi movie. It makes for a good script to write. So let's say it's not even true, but I have this theory that people can actually leave their body. They can be transferred, their soul. But it's something so simple that we didn't know that's inside of our brain, that they don't really have to take out much. They just take out what they need. And because they have clone bodies already prepared, because after all, Satan owns the flesh. God is the spirit. God is what exists in spirit. Satan is what rules the flesh. So he created it. And he also has the ability to just basically have you made on a meat hook, preserved, just waiting to be plugged in, like the Matrix. But it's not something where you fall asleep with. It's something that you get plugged in to the top of your head, and it's in there. And it's for the people that, it's like, do you have to be gay to do that? Or you want your own female version. So what they do is they transfer you into that female's body. And then obviously it's connected with the serpent race. So what's going on inside of, you know how the serpent's punishment was to crawl on its belly? Well, they took that literally in this movie. It's out there. It's just, I don't think they produced it yet. I know it's out there. It's in the makings. They just don't want to. They don't even want to make you think that it's possible. So, but at some point they're going to produce it. And so the female's body is perfect, and it has the male component inside, and it's you. So it's you and your wife together, Adam and Eve. And this is what really actually has taken place already. But because there's no evidence of it, besides to the ones that you already have it done to you, and I'm talking to you, you're one of my subs. But it's not like you're going to comment and say, yeah, Robin, how'd you know? I only know through Jonathan Kleck explaining this entire host body, male-female system that I've never thought was even possible. So now I understand it is. And this earth here, this is the place. See, this is Christophilus' world. And he's been following me from the beginning of my birth. I don't know why. I don't know how you would even know what I would be doing throughout the next 46 years. Like this was some kind of a, I don't know, like building some kind of world around it or something. But when Christophilus was talking to the woman, the one with the big eyes, he was telling her that your world is sick where you're from. And what Robin's doing is the way you're supposed to live life, by telling the truth at all costs, no matter what the cost. No matter what. You got an earpiece, you told what to do. You hear Lucifer in your ear. Do you hear AI, a voice that tells you to wait. Okay, open door. As soon as Robin walks by, because I experience it all day long. All day long. Remember, this is for you guys that are doing it to me. This isn't for the regular people, you know, if there is any regular, fully regular people that just all you're doing is hearing some crazy things from my mouth. But at the same time, I'll show you some things that really line up with it. Coincidence isn't even part of the vocabulary in my videos, because there's too many of those quote coincidences unquote that happen with the things in this world and my communication with those kings of the earth. And 9/11 was all about that. It's the Twin Towers. It's the male and female system. Both of those towers went down, which meant that the two have now become the one World Trade Center. And if they follow through with the second 9/11 in Philly, then it would mean the other Twin Towers, Liberty 1, Liberty 2, the two twins that run planet Earth have now become one. Like in the Petco 2, where that woman rolls down that apple in front of Obama's foot, and it shows the apple split in two, but then it grows into one. Those two became one. And then when Obama was watching my videos, he was sweating from his head, and then he had that look on his face, because that would be the woman with the 12 stars above her head, clothed with the sun, and the moon is under her feet. Is there going to be somebody that plays that role that really isn't, that's trying to trick me into believing that they are? I believe so. Should I shut my mouth and not say what I think is going to happen? Because if I tell you what I think is going to happen, then you may switch the plans and I may be tricked. Or do I tell you what I believe you're going to do, Satan? That way you have the opportunity to switch the plans, so that way I can tell you what you're going to do next, so you can switch those plans, and eventually you're going to run out of plans to switch to. Like pretending that there's wise men that are on my side when they're really still just working for their boss. And the objective is to try to get me to believe that I need to change into being a female and leave my first estate, when that's not how it works. It doesn't matter what that Thomas James struggled with to come to grips with in his life. As it shows, it looks like he was a boy, and then it looks like an image that he turned female after his house burnt down or whatever. Because at some point, this me talking into thin air becomes a reality. It's a long journey. Even my mom texted me today at 2:22 with capital words that said endurance. Now, knowing the timing 222 and understanding that that's the most random thing my mom has ever texted me in my entire life. But I also keep in mind, she sent me that little Christmas card with Mary and little baby Jesus there. And it was like, it's time to come clean, Mom. It's time to come clean. You know how many people have left their first estate in a 9/11 incident? I don't know. I'm asking you. But how did they know back then? Because there's a lot of firefighters that went in. There's like 300 and something of them that went in. And I don't really think there was many women that were firefighters. It usually isn't, right? There wasn't that many first responders that were women. But even if they were, it's just all about changing your first estate, ain't it? So they have underground tunnels, they have underground malls. There's literally underground mall under all the Tower 1, 2, 3, 4, I think they said. So when they went in, they went down. Well, how do you explain the people jumping from the windows? Well, obviously, when you detonate something, you know where it's going to be. So you're going to have people in those floors. And let's just say it wasn't all smoke and mirrors. It wasn't all holographic and sounds and miracles and wonders and fire from heaven in the sight of men to deceive those that dwell upon the earth, as Bush became God to people. Let's just say it was a natural thing that happened, or at least an image flew into the building and then an explosion, a real explosion. Let's just say it wasn't an image and then an image and then smoke and mirrors all the way through until it's time to collapse it. Let's say that's not the case. And the people that have left their first estate, or even just body doubles, or let's say there's people that left their first estate already. Let's just say there's like 100 people that left their first estate. And you mix in a little bit of hologram images, you mix in a little bit of real, actual people. When Barack Obama said about that first term and second term, and I'll win the war on Christmas, and the first term I did this, and the second term will be, it's raining men. Well, 9/11 was raining men that jumped out of the towers. Let's say some of them were mixed in there, like the one waving the flag, moving, and then others just propped up. They're not even alive inside of that body, because you know why? They already left their first estate. And the estate that they hopped into was the one, again, movie script. You don't believe it? Fine. Movie script. Is it insensitive? Whatever. I don't care anymore. Because this world is fake. And people try to get you to not say things because it sounds insensitive. But it's true. So, and if it ain't true, it's a movie. So in this movie that I'm writing, that I've been writing for quite some time, it just has a bunch of different twists and turns to it. The person that left the body, their first estate, they, they showed up at work that day. They went in like normal. And they had the body that they left, they have it over in the area, like on that 77th floor, whatever floor it is. Let's say there's 100 people that left their first estate. What they did was they went from male to female already. They're in their female body, but they put on a suit that, the bodysuit that looks just like who they already are. The estate that they left is the dead body that they pushed out the window so it can literally fall, and you'll literally see splatter. That way it's real. But that person didn't feel any pain because that person left his first estate already and became female and put on a bodysuit that looked exactly the same as the person that left its first estate and then pushed its body out. And then once that person pushed the body out, and then they went down their secret little elevator that went down and out before the building collapsed, then They took off their suit, and then they turned female. They're back to their estate their new estate, because they left their first estate, and then they go out into the world as a female, and they're missing or they died. How you like that storyline? You want me to repeat it? 100 people left their first estate. They were all men. They had a simple procedure done. They agreed to go from male to female. So their male spirit has left their body into a new female's body that was cloned, ready to be plugged in. Once they got plugged in, they also had a replica of a bodysuit that looks like the male that they were. Once they get to that floor and everything's set up, because all the people in that entire building, the ones that needed to be part of it, and all the other sheep don't need to know anything. Very well orchestrated and organized. A gang stalk corporation is impeccable timing, impeccable with hiding their secrets. You can't tell. So they orchestrated it perfectly, and those 100 people had their replica, had their dead bodies hanging out of the windows eventually, and then just pushed it off, and they all dropped down one at a time to make it as real as possible. And they mixed in some holographic images of other people, or maybe they even had a towel in their hand and they're just like, they got a hook on the arm and they're just like swinging it around behind them like a puppet. So basically what I'm saying is, these 100 people that left their first estate, their dead body is the puppet that they used to be in, but yet now they're in a female's body with their replica twin bodysuit on top of them as they hopped into their face mask bodysuit, and then they pushed their dead twin out the window. And that's why it smelled like dead carcasses, because you had to, you gotta get that realism in it. How crazy is that, if that's true? How crazy. What an imagination. And then there's always going to be, people that say, my family member died in there, and you're a liar, Robin. But whatever you say, look, is it such a bad thing that when people die and they get the hell out of this freaking prison cell? Is that a bad thing? When I die, please don't feel sorry for me. Please remember that. Please don't. Anybody that remembers it, if you're living past the time that I die and you watch my videos, you're part of the family, or someone you act like you don't watch it or whatever, don't feel sorry for me. Just know that I'm going up, and I'll still be able to see what's going on down here on this literal planet as I'm up in a elevated land that's still attached to this earth one way or another, or even just separated from this earth, but it's literally up there because we're down here in this fake ass world that Christophilus owns. I may be here to teach people how to live in truth, but at the same time, Christo, it can't stay like this. There's an exit door. It's to the left. It's a stairway. I'm not going through it and staying on the other side if there's something that I have to do that I don't want to do. But I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go and see what's on that other side and renegotiate once you take it to the fullest, because Satan has to go all the way to the end. He has to see the result of the people that turned against him. He has to see that those 10 kings hate that whore and they burn her with fire. and none come to its help. Satan has to see that with his own eyeballs because it's never happened before. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's already happening. But who is that horde that's going to be left by themselves, that nobody's going to come to your help? Who is that person? Who is it? It's the horde that rides the beast. The beast is the system. The horde is the one controlling things. When you look at the landscape, the United States map, it shows that there's this head up in Michigan, and it's riding this like beast with the tail end down and scorpion sting down in Florida. The beast rising up from the seat of reptilian, and it shows the king's face behind it, right under its nose, and a dragon standing on the sand of the seashore, giving his power to the beast. Oh yeah, and a pet goat too. That house that's on fire right next on the left-hand side, where it shows down at the bottom the snow, which would obviously represent winter snow. That house that's on fire is a pyramid, because the top of it is a pyramid. And Liberty 1 and 2 are pyramids. Jonathan Click in his videos from 2011 shows you the pyramids. Shows you, tells you the pyramid's your enemy. So as George Bush was like the king in 2001 till 2008, and then once he was done, then it was his turn to hop on YouTube, right, Johnny? Isn't that how that works? Around 2011-ish, when Harold Camping was saying that Christ is returning. So it only makes sense to get up, let Barack Obama come in as the next president. George Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Joe Biden. Joe's Biden time for Trump to come back. Trump was cut off halfway through. But George Bush was first, then Barack Obama. There's three unclean frogs. There's Joel Karim. There's Stephen Chen and Chad Hurley. So as Jonathan Click is wearing a Hurley shirt, and that smoke bomb that went off when that tower, the first tower, was hit, looks like George Bush's face. So he was the first, Barack Obama's the second, and then the last one would be Trump. He's the last Trump. Joe's just Biden time. I don't even know if he's part of the family. But the three unclean frogs, two of them are down. And it's like the one of them was and is yet to come. So Trump was the president. Then he was not, because he got cut off halfway through. But he still is, because he's going to be. And you can say the same thing for Barack Obama, where he was the president and is not, because Joe Biden is, but still is, because he really is in his second term, and he plans on winning the war in 2 more days. But in Petco 2, Barack Obama, because he graduated from being George Bush. And George Bush could be the 7th and then Barack Obama of the 8th, but yet they're really the same person. But he starts sweating because he's watching some YouTube videos after that woman with the 12 stars that's clothed with the sun of God and the moon on her feet, and following the white rabbit and the 12 apostles above her head that she has control of. Like the female John the Baptist version. Because who else is it? That female, that woman would be considered, well, I mean, wouldn't it be considered like the Antichrist too, in place of Christ? There's many Antichrists, but there's truly one of them that is basically in place of Christ. If Christ doesn't show up, well, then that Antichrist is going to be the Christ, because that's truly what that person will be, because the real Christ in spirit doesn't show up. But when it does show up, Barack Obama starts shitting bricks. Two more days, it's Christmas. What's going to happen on Christmas? Is it just going to be another disappointing prediction that the numbers, the timing, where everything is leading towards, all the 9/11 videos I watched is telling you they're going to Chase Bank 17th and JFK and Liberty 1 and Liberty 2, the Twin Towers in Philadelphia, to have a little bit of strength. They're telling you that. But it's up to me to find that out. So if I can predict it and it doesn't happen, how will anybody ever know? How will you know? I just look at it like this. If it doesn't happen because I predicted it, either one or two things. Either Satan's scared to pull the trigger because he knows damn well that he'll be defeated in an instant, right then and there. Or Satan has turned to Jesus, which now has the Christ spirit, and understands that he doesn't have to pull the trigger. Things will pan out. They'll even themselves out, and I'll be just fine. I'll be taken care of for life. And at some point, maybe you'll never know what I did. Maybe only the people that run this entire planet will know, and you'll just see the results in the world, where heaven comes down to earth, where the temperature starts to get better. It starts to get warmer consistently. It rains less. The clouds disappear. It just gradually feels heavenish. The pay rate is like double from what you're getting now, and they don't require you to work as much, and things are just cheaper. That would be the result of heaven coming down to earth. That would be the result of the second coming of Christ. But 7777 and 1111 are some pretty perfect numbers from 9/11 till the end of Christmas the next day. 21 years, 3 months, 15 days to the end of the day. 21 years, 3 months, and 16 days. John 3:16. Or does it happen the day after Christmas? You know, I didn't even think of that until now. Because truly, (7,777 years. 7,777 days. A day is a year. The flood. 70 years are determined. 7 days. 7,000 years. The flood. 700 days and 70 days are determined, and then another 7 more days to get into the ark. That's on December 26th at the end of the day, from the first 9/11 2001 till 1226, 2616 down dynasty. The day after Christmas is exactly 1,111 days. It's exactly 1,111 weeks, 7,777 days. It's perfect in the numerology. Along with being 21 years a day, 21 days of Daniel, and then John 3:16, my only begotten son. So it could happen on Tuesday, just like the first 9/11 being a Tuesday event instead of Christmas. Maybe we get to have our Christmas, and then it's like that sinking feeling of, okay, I guess it's just not going to happen this time either, even though the numbers are dead on perfect, but not quite. Because it's really technically only 1,110 weeks on this Christmas 2022. It's technically only 7,776 days and 21 years in John 3:15 for Esau. You know, Esau Christ over there? Esau and Jacob. It's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac is like Christ, but to me it's like the Old Testament Christ, but at the same time it's still representing Christ. So Christ begets Esau first, Esau, and then Jacob next, last. Jacob comes last. So Isaac gives birth to Esau, not in a literal way, just in spirit recognition. And then Jacob last, because Esau is born first. Esau Christ, Emmanuel. You know, David. And then Jacob, the heel catcher, the deceiver, the one that acts like I'm not saying what I'm saying. I don't know anything. I don't have inside knowledge. So Abraham is the one that owns the system, I'll just assume. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, well, it would be the same God that I believe in. It's the God in spirit. It's not a human being. It's the God in spirit. So Abraham, and then Isaac is the one that gives a birthing recognition to Esau, and Jacob. And then, here comes the snowplowers. So I'd look at Esau as red and ruddy, right? And isn't David looked at as red and ruddy? And isn't Esau red, hairy, Prince Harry? But isn't he really the firstborn? Even though Prince Harry is the younger to Prince William, look at it like Jacob and Esau, but Prince Harry is actually the firstborn, but he's older. Take Stephen James DeShawn and Jacob Israel as an example. Jacob Israel claims with that bodysuit is 51 years old. Stephen James claims 55. So he's older. But in my case, Stephen James was birthed into my life first, as like a firstborn. And then Jacob Israel last, which is now. How I'm focusing in on Jacob Israel now, he's the last portion of it. So Prince Harry, Ruddy, Red, King David, Prince Harry, Esau, Asu, Emmanuel, would be the red and ruddy one, which is the firstborn, but yet Prince Harry is the younger. In the script world, the TV world. And then Prince William is actually older, but that's only because he was born second. He's the older brother, but he's the younger one because the older brother was born first. Esau was born first. Asu Christ was born first. Prince Harry, because he's hairy and ruddy and red. But to flip it around to confuse you, Prince Harry will be the younger one, even though he was born first. You get it? I know, it's all confusing. But that's why everything is upside down, twisted inside and out. It's my job to rearrange the puzzle that was purposely done upside down and backwards. And Abraham basically runs the show. He's like the Lord God. But he could be like the Lord God in the YouTube platform only. And then you have another Lord God that is literally the one that runs this, everything, the planet, which would technically be Satan. Because Satan plays both roles, doesn't he? Doesn't he play the Lord God and the angel of the bottomless pit? Isn't there a seventh and of the eighth beast where he's really two? He's really playing two roles. Until Christ actually shows up, then he can disappear from being like the eighth and just stick with his seventh. Because he would be there in place of as the Antichrist. I remember Stephen James said, Barack Obama's the sideshow Bab. You want to see the real Barack Obama? He's down here too. Meaning like down here where I am at. Because there's two. There's Michelle, who steps in as Barack Obama's mask too. Speaks like him, right? Isn't that the way it is? I don't know, someday I'll have angels that will minister to me and they won't be lying. Because right now I'm hit or miss, hot or cold. God told me not to be lukewarm. Just don't worry about what people think about your crazy ideas, Robin. Doesn't matter anymore what people think about me, because when you're done watching my video, you don't think about me, you go about your business. So what does it matter? And at this moment, I'm not even talking to you live anyway. I'm talking to myself through this camera hole with Satan and the Lord God watching through my eyes, seeing through my eyes, hearing through my ears, watching my life as I walk it out day in and day out. Through my eyes, through my ears, through surveillance, through others' eyes, through others' ears, non-stop. I am consciously aware that everything I do is seen by at least two different entities, if not the entire Daily Show. And that's the whole point. I am supposed to know that. I am supposed to know, because you know how it is. People, if you're normal, you'll feel more uncomfortable if you think someone's watching you, right? So you won't do a certain thing. I'm at that point where I don't care if you're watching me do my certain thing, because I'm going to do what I want to do in this body until I can't do it anymore. You can look at me as the Antichrist because I come in with a foreign God that my father's fathers have not known. And I will come in peaceably and with words of peace and destroy, because I am coming in peaceably and I'm going to destroy you with my peaceful words, because it's destructive. My truth is destructive, rising up from the sea of humanity. Yeah, in the landscape, the United States map, they show you a reptilian rising up from the sea down the Florida coast. And then in between the Texas area, it's like a horse. I'll have to go over that. And the dragon staying on the sand of the seashore over in the California area. And then none will come to my help, because they already did that. Steve Ben Nunn came to my help, I think back in 2018. Right, Steve? You were paying attention all the way back then. Because none will come to my help. Yeah, I was already forsaken. I already went over that. My 11th month and first day of my YouTube career. After 11 years, 11 months, 11 days that YouTube uploaded their very first video, I uploaded my 1 minute and 11 second video. And then 11 months and 1 day later, I was crucified by Matthew Daly, the top YouTube military commander guy that was in charge of crucifying me, with 111 subscribers on that day. And he was told to do it between 6 and 9 p.m. for 3 hours. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, Satan. You tried to hide it from me. It's up to me to reveal these things. You're not gonna reveal it to me. You may speak in your language. I still have to decipher this confusing Tower of Babel language that's down here. Building a tower to God, the Babel. That's why the 9/11 buildings, when it shows those pieces sticking up that were propped up there, in all likelihood after the fact, looks like the Tower of Babel. So, to Barabbas, I just want to let you know, Barabbas, they picked you. Your time's up, though. You were freed. They picked you because you were the one that was freed. They didn't pick Jesus. They picked you to be freed. And you're trying to take the second coming title. Well, you can have it, but it's not the Holy of Holies. It's just the holy. My other channel, EYE ONE EYE I won. I think I have 101 subscribers, maybe 102, 102, 101. I prefer to just have 101. So, can one of you just unsub for me? Thanks. I'm going to keep it that way. And I prefer to keep my summer as here to 555. I think it's like at 557. So can two of you just unsub? Or maybe I'll unsub myself to myself. How's that? Yeah, there you go. I'll keep it like that. And I'm staying at 26,000 subscribers, maybe because I need to go to Christmas, December 26th. That way everybody can be like, haha, Robin, your prediction, you're a false prophet. And then Tuesday morning comes along. And then that's the event, because it'll happen in a time that you'd least expect. Wouldn't you least expect it to happen the day after Christmas? I mean, I do. Except for now that I'm thinking of it.